This is the Drake Passage, the world's most dangerous sea route that humans have been avoiding for thousands of years. Even before the year 1578, no human in the world knew about it, while many people think that the main purpose of building the Panama Canal was to connect America's eastern coast with South America and the rest of the world through a shorter route. Yes, this is true, but this was not the only reason for constructing the canal. Another very significant reason for building the Panama Canal was to allow all the maritime vessels to avoid navigating through the 620-mile area between Antarctica and Cape Horn. This is the point where the Pacific, Atlantic, and Southern Oceans converge. Why is the area called the Drake Passage, and what happens here that passing through it is still like passing through the jaws of death today? According to a registered estimate, around 800 ships have sunk in the Drake Passage to date, resulting in the loss of lives of approximately 20,000 people. In some instances, it has been observed that when captains are asked to navigate through the Drake Passage to reach America, they quit their jobs due to fear of going there. But why? So, to understand all these things, first we need to know why it's called Drake Passage. In the 15th century, when a pirate named Francis Drake became a terror in the entire Atlantic Ocean, it was a time when the British and Spanish empires were vying for control of the world. Francis wasn't just an ordinary pirate, he had direct support from the British Empire. With this support, he would attack African cities on behalf of the British Empire, plunder them, and take their people as slaves. The British Empire was very pleased with Francis, despite all this. Even though he was not just a pirate, he was called a hero by the Queen of the British Empire, Queen Elizabeth I. Yes, you heard it right. She used to call him a hero, and he was hailed as a hero throughout the English Empire. Drake had also served as a member of Parliament for 3 constituencies, and until today, instead of being called a maritime pirate, he is called an English explorer of the English Empire. So, coming back to our story, Francis Drake was indeed brave, and that's why the Queen of the British Empire, Queen Elizabeth I, ordered him to break the control of the Spanish Empire in South America by sending him as an English explorer. The plan was that Francis Drake would plunder the cities and villages along the eastern coastline of South America and then enter the Strait of Magellan. After that, he would attack the villages on the western coastline of South America, gradually bringing them under British control. During this time, he could loot as many cities as he wanted. The only interest of the British Empire was to bring the entire coastline of South America under British control. According to the plan, Francis Drake set out on his journey in December 1577 with 200 people on 5 ships. By April, he had reached Argentina, but there was a mutiny among his crew, and Drake ended up hanging about 40 of his mutinous companions in Argentina. He left his 2 ships there and continued his journey on the remaining 3 ships. He had just crossed the strait and entered the Pacific Ocean when a fierce storm struck, causing the 3 ships to lose contact with each other. One ship's crew thought that Drake might have died, and they sailed back to England, while the other ship, caught in the storm, drifted into Drake Passage and disappeared. Drake, following the same ship, reached the shores of Drake Passage, but upon seeing the towering waves, he understood that going further meant only death. Actually, before Francis Drake in 1525, the Spanish navigator Francisco de Hotes had discovered Drake Passage while sailing south from the Strait of Magellan. That's why Drake Passage is known as Mar de Hotes in Spanish maps and sources, while in other Spanish-speaking countries, it is mostly known as Passage de Drake, or Paso Drake, or Mar de Drake. Now, you might be wondering why Drake Passage is named after Francis Drake, and not Francisco de Hoche. There could be 2 reasons behind this. The first reason could be that Francisco de Hoches might not have faced today's Drake Passage, because it is not clear whether he sailed through it or not, as his mention is only found in Spanish maps and Spanish sources. The second reason could be that by the 1800s, the Spanish Empire had diminished in size compared to the British Empire, so perhaps the British chose to name it after the maritime pirate Francis Drake, whom the British Empire considered their hero, to assert their dominance. So, returning to our story, while following his ship, Drake reached the shores of Drake Passage, but upon seeing the towering waves of the sea, he understood that going further meant only death. So, Drake turned his ship back and headed towards the western coast of South America again. Then, plundering along the western coastline, Drake reached San Francisco. It was after this incident that the area was named Drake Passage, because no other ship had ventured into this part of the sea before him. Or if they did, they probably didn't survive to tell the tale. Drake had told his close companions that he felt there might be another world beyond the sea, or perhaps an undiscovered island where no one had ever set foot. What Drake actually mistook for an island was Antarctica. For thousands of years, humans had believed that there must be a continent here. The Greeks called it Terra Australis Incognita, meaning the unknown southern land, but no one had ever seen it with their own eyes. The question in your mind will be, why is this Drake Passage so dangerous? In other places in the world, the oceans meet each other. Then what is it like here? Nestled between the southern tip of South America and the northern reaches of Antarctica lies a narrow strip of ocean that has earned a fearsome reputation among sailors and adventurers alike. The Drake Passage. This treacherous stretch of water, connecting the Atlantic-Pacific Oceans and Antarctica, Southern Ocean, is notorious for its wild and unpredictable weather, powerful currents, and towering waves. It is a place where the elements converge in a dramatic and awe-inspiring display of nature's power. At first glance, the Drake Passage may seem like any other stretch of open ocean where two bodies of water meet. However, its unique geographical location and the absence of any land masses to disrupt the flow of winds and currents make it a particularly challenging and dangerous crossing. Situated at the confluence of the Antarctic Circumpolar Current and the Southern Ocean Gyre, the passage is subjected to powerful westerly winds that sweep across the vast expanse of the Southern Ocean with incredible force. These relentless winds, known as the Roaring 40s, Furious 50s, and Screaming 60s due to their latitude, generate massive waves that can reach heights of over 30 meters or 100 feet during storms. The combination of high winds and towering waves creates extremely hazardous sailing conditions, with the potential to capsize even the sturdiest of vessels. In addition to the wind and waves, the Drake Passage is also prone to sudden and severe changes in weather, including fierce storms and blizzards that can descend upon unsuspecting sailors without warning. The Antarctica season is very short, only a few months, and the Drake is notorious for its waves being unpredictable. The unpredictable nature of the weather in the Drake Passage poses a significant challenge to navigation, requiring sailors to exercise extreme caution and skill to safely traverse its waters. Even modern ships equipped with advanced technology and navigation systems can struggle to withstand the ferocity of the elements in this remote and unforgiving environment. In addition to its formidable weather conditions, the Drake Passage is also home to powerful ocean currents that can reach speeds of up to 10 knots, 18 kilometers per hour. In early December, a TikTok vlogger who goes by Natasha shared a video of massive waves battering her cruise ship as it sailed through the Drake Passage between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans at the southern tip of South America. The video was viewed more than 12 million times. Just recently, on the last days of November, a 62-year-old American passenger was on a Viking cruise ship. Suddenly, a big wave hit and broke a window. The broken glass flew away. The passenger died. 4 other passengers were also injured, but they did not lose their lives. If your ship encounters any accident here, it means you are on your own. In the 20th century, with the advent of modern technology, the craze for exploration and discoveries surged. All explorers' eyes were now set on the South Pole. In 1914, the famous British explorer Ernest Shackleton intended to explore Antarctica. While crossing the Atlantic Ocean, when he reached near the Drake Passage, the waves of the sea pushed his ship into the glaciers of the ice. His ship was completely destroyed. Ernest unloaded some of his companions onto the ice and set out in a small lifeboat with 5 remaining companions in search of an island where they could seek help. After wandering in the sea for a month, Ernest finally reached South Georgia Island, but the experiences he had in this 1 month were so terrifying that he wrote, "This is the worst and most dangerous part of our world's oceans, and reaching this island is nothing less than a miracle." Ernest also said that Antarctica is the last great journey left to man. In the next 3 months, 3 attempts were made, and Ernest managed to save the rest of his companions. No one died in this entire expedition. Similarly, the Maritime was a 76-foot yacht owned by João Lara Mesquita, a famous Brazilian journalist and entrepreneur. He and his crew of 4 were filming a documentary about the Antarctic coast when they encountered a severe storm on April 7, 2012. The yacht was trapped in the ice of Maxwell Bay of Ardley Cove, about 1,200 kilometers south of the tip of South America. The strong winds and high waves tossed the yacht from side to side, causing it to list and take on water. The crew radioed for help and were received by the Chilean Navy in the base in Bahia Fields in Antarctica. However, the weather conditions were so bad that the rescue operation was delayed by 2 days. The crew had to endure freezing temperatures, limited food and water, and the fear of sinking. João Lara Mesquita wrote in his blog, "Then, with strong winds and high waves, the boat fray came to us. Our evacuation was epic. Waves of more than 1.5 meters and winds over 40 knots made the boat jump from one side to another, like a bucking bronco in a rodeo. When it got close, each of us threw ourselves into the arms of 3 Chilean crew members. Fortunately, all went safely. The Maritime, however, could not be saved. The near-freezing water that had been tossed over the ship later froze and then split the hull when it expanded. This phenomenon is called compression, and is what was later determined to have been the final blow to the hull of the Maritime, sending her to the bottom of the shallow bay. The yacht lay in about 30 feet of water, preserved invisible from above, for almost a year, until her recent rescue in early 2013. Owner Joel Lara Mesquita managed to return to the site and attempt to rescue the Maritime. When the weather cooperated, divers wrapped strong lines under the hull and attached them to inflated buoys on either side. They would add more buoys which would all be continuously inflated, slowly raising the vessel that had been underwater for almost a year. Once the vessel surfaced, it was towed back to the shore, where the researchers recovered their equipment, and the Maritime was most likely headed for salvage. The ship was reportedly insured for $700,000. However, the breached hull and damage from being submerged for 10 months would seem to indicate the vessel is beyond repair. In the last 10 years, many such incidents have occurred here. Although accidents have decreased with the arrival of modern ships, all maritime ships still hesitate to pass through here, preferring the Strait of Magellan route over the Drake Passage. However, even in the Strait of Magellan, there is often dense fog, strong winds, and very cold weather. When the ice of Antarctica melts, all the water goes into the rest of the world's oceans from here. This Drake Passage is also an example that no matter how great our technology becomes, we are still as helpless against nature today as we were thousands of years ago. Thanks for watching.